Hello and welcome to Relatable Judaism Podcast at Aishlit, Los Angeles. This is Rabbi Jack Malul. Wherever you are, wherever you're going, doing, driving, there is nothing better than listening to something meaningful that Judaism has to offer that is relatable and will leave us lit on life. Today we will talk about combating laziness with action.
The first part towards my laziness is my physicality, okay? Because I'm physical, I therefore want to have more relaxation, I want to have more comfort. We're all composed of those four elements. Do you remember, anyone know what they are? Dust, earth, wind, fire. Right? Fire, wind, and water, right? The order would actually be dust first, then water, then fire, and then wind. One of the great Kabbalists, Reb Chaim Vital, explains that every personality that we have is connected to one of those energies. Laziness, feeling like I want to just relax, that is connected to the aspect of my body which is to do with dust. Anger and lust, that is all to do with fire, right? That's all that emotion that burns up within me, and that is fire. The lowest or the most gravitational force that pulls me down is my laziness. It's very much connected to my bodily features. It's my gravity really pulls me down. Now that I'm physical and I'm pulled down and I want my comfort, I will justify everything I do for the sakes of my comfort. Is pot healthy for you? Weed, pot. Hello? Why is no one laughing? Is pot healthy for you? Right? So you go online, right? And you get, there's one website, 15 reasons why you should be smoking pot. Right? And there's another one, listen, I don't care what you tell me, bro. And I've heard this many times, right, on campus. Pot's really good for you. Right? I don't care what you say. But I've not according to the National Health Association. The dangers of pot is there, okay? It might help me with certain situations, but it's all external ways of escaping my problems, okay? By the end of the day, not healthy, okay? It does stuff to your brain. If somebody smokes pot for their whole life, I don't want to see how they look and smell like at the age of 80. I know how they smell because when I go to the store, I get a good whiff. We as people will find, and that's why the internet is unreliable. Does anyone find it very difficult to get help on the internet with their problems, right? You go on the internet and you're like, hey, I've got this flu, and suddenly it tells you you're about to die, right? Has anyone had that before? Yes. Don't use the internet to get help. It doesn't work. Why? Because there's so much fake news out there. There's so much information that people have an agenda for, and many times it's all justified, it's all justifications. What type of laziness am I talking about? Now there's some people that are very quick, very active, they drive quickly on the road, they're behind a truck and they're screaming, why is this truck in my face? I cannot see to my left, I can't see to my right, I cannot see ahead of me, I'm going nuts, right? Has this ever happened to anyone in LA? Right, you go crazy on traffic. If you come from the valley, anyone from the valley? Hey, right, so all happy people from the valley, right? You have to travel every time, and eventually you go nuts. You want to be quick, and you want to get home now. And what happens when you get home? You rush. You get home 10 minutes earlier to do what? Nothing. You sit on your phone on the couch, flick through Facebook. Well, that was a waste of effort. Right? All that screaming and hustling, cursing, hopefully not. Right? All the stuff that you're doing on the way, finally you get home and all you're doing is nothing. And this can happen in work. Why am I rushing to work? Why am I rushing to get my money? Why am I rushing? Most of it is to do with being able to relax more. Being able to have a good weekend. Being able to have a good trip. Well, being able to have a good trip means that I can just be more lazy. Now, don't get me wrong, it's important to have a break because you need to relax once in a while, you need to recharge, but it's only a recharge, that's not the essence of who we are. What's the essence of me? So that's why I think that when it comes to talking about laziness from a Jewish perspective or being quick and getting things done, it's not about getting things done so I should get home to flick through Facebook. And it's not about getting home quickly so that I can finish my job so I can have a bigger break. So what is being quick and active for? We need to ask ourselves, what is being quick and active for? Is it to relax more? Or is it for something which is greater? Which really has meaning to me, which has a bigger cause to my life. It has a greatness that gives me a real sense of purpose. What am I rushing for? Okay, so you have to understand that whenever Judaism talks about being quick and not being lazy, it always mentions it in a format of being quick for a better meaning, for more Torah, for more mitzvot, for more greatness, for becoming a better person. That's when the concept of being hasty or being quick really applies. Otherwise, it's just for my comfort. Let's go and speak about the 5 ways to overcome laziness. How can we today change and overcome some of our laziness? You feel like you're tired, you don't want to sleep. What are the things that we could do to change laziness? We're going to go through them. It's on page number 2. Okay? And then we'll have a discussion. Okay, number 1. Number 1 of the 5 is focus. Now this sounds very obvious, but listen to this. What happens, and we mentioned this, what happens if you feel like you don't know enough information or you're overweight? Right? What happens if you feel like you're overweight? So you decide to, 2019, to join?
The gym.
Join the gym. And then what happens?
2 weeks later, you stop.
So one of the things you need to do is focus. And the perfect example is what the Talmud gives me. 2 different examples. The first example is tafasta meruba lo tafasta. If you try and grab too much, you have not grabbed anything. Okay, so if you try and be an expert in medicine, in all parts of medicine, because that's what I'm studying, or I want to be an expert in sports as well, because I'm good at that too. You make yourself a whole list of things that you're so ambitious and you want to do so much. What happens is you'll have nothing. Now, ambition is good, but if you take your ambition too far, you'll have nothing. It's much better to be an expert, even in rabbinical concepts. It's much better to be an expert in one thing and then move on from there to other things. It's good to have a general knowledge of other ideas, but even with whatever work you're doing, let's say you're a lawyer or you're in health, find something that you'll be an expert in, because that way you will achieve much more. If you don't become an expert in anything, so then you have the concept of tafasta meruba lo tafasta. If you grab too much, you have grabbed nothing. And if you grab a bit, you've at least grabbed something. If somebody's outside and he's trying to bring stuff into the house, right? Lots of shopping. This happens to me all the time because Taco Tuesday and Shabbats and all the Jewish things that we do. I do literally go around. Now, every time I'm coming out, there's bags of stuff I'm trying to bring in. There's the diapers and there's this and there's that, right? All the stuff I'm bringing in. And as I'm bringing them in, I think to myself, okay, I'm just going to carry everything in one shot. I'll be the strong guy. Take 2 boxes, and then what happens? I break my back. And I find it very hard to take a very small amount after. That happens also with studying or reading. I've got to read this book, this book, this book. Wait a second. Focus on one thing at a time. Okay, tell yourself, I'm going to take this one book and I'm going to finish it. Finish the book. Okay? That will help you with your laziness. And we learn this from Avraham Avinu, from Abraham. If anyone came to me, right, anyone know the story of Abraham? He was told to take his kid and offer him. Hey! How you doing? Right, so anyone heard of the story? Right, with Abraham, he was told to offer his kid up, Isaac. That was the 10th test that he had. Remember that story, the biblical story? Now, how on earth people grapple with this? First of all, if anyone came up to me, if any voice came to me and said, hey, yo, take your child and offer it up, I'll be like, 1 second, I need to go to the hospital and get some help right now because something's wrong with me, right? What is going on in my head? But Abraham had much experience, okay? It wasn't his first test. He was 100 years of experience. So, if Abraham was told, go and sacrifice his child. Now, there's 2 things conflicting. He's got the love for God, and his love for his child conflicting each other. Both are like, whoa, I want to do what's right, what God tells me, but I have a child and I love my child. What's going on? So how was he able to overcome one, take one and overcome the other? This is a very powerful lesson, because he was able to focus on his love for God. And that overcame everything else. Now, how does that translate to our lives? Right? In a relationship, if the relationship's going well, right? Or if you're playing, let's say you're playing a game of basketball, which is the one I mentioned in the 5 levels of pleasure. You remember that class? So if I'm playing basketball, who thinks basketball takes effort to play? What? Anyone play basketball? Yeah. Right? Soccer. Maybe I play soccer, Americans. Right? Basketball is good, easy. It takes effort to play. Right? It takes effort. If you want to be good, you've got to put some effort in, especially if you're Jewish and short. Right? You have to put lots of effort to play. So if you're playing basketball and you're playing with a lot of effort, after half an hour you're looking at the group and you're saying to yourself, how on earth are these people sweating and smiling at the same time? How are they so happy with what they're doing? How are they so happy with their game? And what's the answer? What's the answer? Why are they happy playing basketball?
Because the goal isn't to be a professional. The goal is to just play basketball. So
the goal is to play basketball, but even a professional. Let's say a professional who's playing professional sports. He's also in pain. Right? It's even more pain. There's so much pressure. Everyone's watching and screaming. And if he doesn't do well, he's going to get in trouble. Okay, I'm making money, but still, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of effort. His heart's pumping. How come he's not focused on the pain?
He enjoys it?
Because he loves what he does.
He loves what he does. He loves what he does, and that's basically what you were saying. What else is he doing?
He has a goal.
He has a goal. He's prioritizing. He's focused on the ball right now. Rab Noach Weinberg says, take the ball away from the game. Will that work?
Oh.
How long do you think they'll last with an imaginary boy? Hey, pass the ball. Hey, right? And then pass it on. How long do you think that would last?
It wouldn't even start.
It wouldn't start, because you need the goal, you need the game to have a focus. If you're focused on the game, you ignore the pain. Okay? Somebody who focuses on his workout and feels like there's a goal, there's an aim that I need to get to, so then they work out and they don't focus on the pain of the workout. What happens if they get to their goal? Ooh, this happens a lot. What happens if somebody's on an aim to lose a certain amount of weight and then they get to that goal?
They have to maintain it.
Raise the stakes.
They have to maintain it, raise the stakes. But do you know what happens? It's much harder now. Do you know why? I got the goal. I got the goal. Now I'm just like, oh, this stuff is so repetitive. I've got it. I managed. I made it. Okay, I got the 6-pack or whatever. So here's the question, discussion for you. When, you'll do it to the person next to you for 1 minute. When can grasping too much turn against us? Okay, give me an example. When you try and take too much, that it actually turns against us. Use your life examples, maybe something in your life that has been an experience for you, where you try to grasp too much and it actually turned against you. Okay, and what connection does the mind, listen to this, what connection does our mind have to our laziness? Okay, something to do with our thoughts. Our thoughts, our mind makes us then say, okay, let's relax. Let's not do it. Right? So there's something to do with our mind and laziness, very much connected. What is the connection between mind and laziness? That is the second question. Go for it. 1 minute, and you'll tell me what you came up with. Person next to you.
The second one's
Hey, what did you guys come up with? Anyone? You did? Go for it.
We thought the first one was easier because it's like it's an everyday feeling. Like if you take on too many things on at once, then you don't do any one thing correctly. You can't show it the attention that it needs.
Right.
But the second thing, we thought that it might stem from like a fear that you might not do it right, so you don't do it at all. Yeah. Like an insecurity.
Right. So there's one of the minds or the thoughts is at the beginning, right, before you do something, that it might not work out, or it might not, what were you saying? It might not?
You might not do it the way that it's supposed
You might not do it the way you meant to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might not do it fully. Is that the correct approach? Of course not, right? It's better to do something than to just back out and say, oh, I can't do it anyway properly, so I won't give anything, or I won't do anything. You know, some people say, oh, what's the value of my gift to this person? I can't afford to give them a beautiful bouquet of flowers, so you know what, I'm just going to give them nothing. But it's not true. It's more the token of appreciation than anything else, right? In a relationship, especially in a relationship, it's just a small flower that makes all the difference, or a small note. You don't have to think of like that expensive $2,000 bouquet. No one can do that constantly. But you can definitely give one flower constantly, right? So sometimes our laziness says to us, you know what, I need to be perfect, like you said. Perfect. Everything needs to be complete, and then you're missing out on so much connection, because even small things are very powerful. In fact, they're sometimes much more powerful. Make sense? That's what you're saying. Okay, who else? Anyone else stuff? What about during? So yes, our mind says before, right? Laziness, we spoke about last week, happens in two areas. Once is before I do something, and once is during the time that I'm actually doing it. Okay, so I get lazy even sometimes when I start doing my job. Or I get lazy once I get to my job, not just before I do a job or do what I have to do. I get lazy at the place that I'm doing it. Does that make sense? So what happens during? What happens to our minds then? What is our mind thinking at that point?
I don't think you're focusing on the goal. That's why.
I'm not focusing on the goal. Right? My mind is in the wrong place. It's focusing on the effort. You can't focus on the effort. Imagine in a relationship, you focused on the effort. You have to always send a message showing that you care. You have to always help with the garbage. You have to clean up your mess. You have to think about the other person so much, because you know you can't. If you're cold and they're warm, you have to think about them, and therefore accommodate somebody else. You have to give in to. Think about how much effort takes a relationship. A lot of effort, no? But what's better? No effort at all and having nothing? Or having effort? Some people say it's better to have no effort, no nothing, leave me alone, no relationship, right? Forget it. But what's better? Look at the long run. Of course, at some point, you're going to feel like I need to move on. Okay? I need that effort. I need to put in that effort. It's worth it for what it's going to give me. Trust me, a child takes a lot of effort, but it's worth every minute. It's worth it. You know, I've not watched a movie for 10 years. Literally. What? That's not an exaggeration. I've not watched a movie for 10 years. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Hulu. I don't have... So that's not a religious thing. Partly a religious thing. But it's not really. It's not because I'm consciously saying, okay, I don't want to watch movies all the time. It's just because I'm preoccupied with reality. I'm preoccupied with reality to sit down in something which isn't. I'm just too busy with reality. I have my little Abraham that's running around who wants some attention with my face. That's real, okay? So that's just an example where we need to, if we're not focused on the game, we lose the reality. Okay. I think I lost myself there a bit, but never mind. Okay, number 2. Educating yourself and appreciation. Okay, those are very two. We become more active if we appreciate things and we know what they are. Okay, because it helps us not focus on the effort. When I know exactly what I'm trying to do, what my purpose, it gives me a sense of happiness. Right? If somebody's building the bridge, an architect was given, this is the example that Rabbi Tatz gives, an architect was given the opportunity to build the George Washington Bridge, right? George Washington probably, right? So he gets the opportunity to build the bridge, right? What happens whilst he's building that bridge? Is there a lot of pressure for him? Right? Whilst it's going on, can you imagine what happens if that thing breaks and thousands of people on top of it, God forbid? It's all the pressure's on him. It needs to be done perfectly. It needs to be attractive. It needs to fit the style of the town, of the city. There's so much involved in making a bridge. Trust me, no sleep for 2 years as long as that bridge is being built. True?
Yeah.
The guy has no sleep, but do you know what he's having? A tremendous joy. So much happiness because he's thinking of the end goal. He's thinking of the end result. His end result is the focus. You see, the more you educate yourself with what my end goal is, or what I'm doing here, why am I going to work, the more you educate yourself with your life, the more you have appreciation, the less you'll be lazy. The more you'll get up to do things with fire and with energy. Just like the person that builds the George Washington Bridge doesn't get much sleep, doesn't get any sleep, but is so happy to do it. Every second, all that time is worth it because he's thinking of the goal. Okay? So education and appreciation. One of those ways is to allocate time to study. A person must study Torah every single, at least, according to Judaism, 24 hours. As long as you have the time and you're free, you should be studying. You should be learning more. That's really the ideal concept or the ideal personality that a Jew is meant to have. I'm always learning. Right? It says in Shema, whenever you're traveling, when you're sleeping, when you get up. It should be always with you. The Torah should be, not your phone, the Torah, right? Judaism, wisdom. You should constantly be studying more and more and more. And that's actually a thing that we want to have. The more you educate yourself, the more you will take away your laziness, the more you'll be quick and fired to do the things you need to, okay? So the first thing is allocating time every single week to learn about my life, why I'm here. And I can give you some suggestions of books to read, like The Path of the Just, or Chot Tzadikim, The Path or the Way of the Righteous. There are many really good books out there that you can read that can help you and guide you about life. Okay, this is really important. This is really, really important stuff. Learn. Okay, and the second thing is spend some time every day appreciating your surroundings. Okay, that's something you have to do. Allocate time to think how much kindness and love is constantly around us. And do you know what the Mesilat, the Path of the Just, says? Nobody can give an excuse. He says the wealthy person or the healthy person, for sure, needs to appreciate what they have. The healthy. They have money, they can survive, they can eat, they can drink. Right? So the wealthy person for sure needs to be thankful. What about the poor person or the sick person? Even the poor person can be thankful. In my poverty, I'm surviving every day. I drive past some homeless people, I'm like, how are they still alive? So cold, it's raining, right? Or if it's not raining, but it's horrible out there. How are they? And sometimes they're sick. And I'm thinking to myself, how are they managing? But every single day they survive. For their survival each day, even a poor person can be thankful. Mesilat Yesharim, he says even someone who's sick can be thankful for his sickness, that he's maintained the sickness and it's not deteriorated. There's always something to be appreciative for. There's never a moment. Listen to this. You know that according to Judaism, when the Jews left Egypt, right, the Jews leave Egypt, what does it say about their leaving of Egypt? They left Egypt and they left in the month of spring. Very strange. When the Jews left Egypt, they left in the month of spring. What significance to me is the weather of the time of the year when the Jews left Egypt. This is a big focus. If you look at the Torah, about the time that the Jews left Egypt, it was in the month of spring. Who cares what weather it is, right? It makes sense between me and you if we're having a conversation. There's lots of rain going on outside. That makes sense. But between me and you, if we're talking about Egypt and the story of Egypt, why does the Torah need to tell me, oh, and by the way, remember that you left Egypt in the month of spring? Who cares what month it was, what time of the year it was? Do you know what the answer is?
Rebirth.
Rebirth and renewal.
Well, spring is the right time. It's the time of rebirth and renewal. It's true. It's the time where things are perfect. What else?
They were appreciating the weather during that tough time.
Exactly. Do you know what it's teaching me? We all have happiness when good things happen to us, right? When good things happen to us, we get happy. So for instance, when we make some money, we get happy. But then comes a new challenge. When we're moving town, somebody's moving from one country to another. They decide that this country is really not good for me. I want to move to a place which has much better lifestyle, much more improved lifestyle, right? That person that's moving, or somebody's going on a vacation. Anyone like going traveling, right? Vacation, right? Anyone want to go travel? When you travel, it's exciting. It's a good thing that's happening to me. So you start getting happy. But then you're challenged. You're challenged with a flight. You're challenged without your bed. You're challenged with change. So whenever good things happen to you, you're now faced with many challenges. Says the Torah, when the Jews left Egypt, that was a good thing. They're leaving slavery, right? But now they're facing challenges. Many challenges. They're going out there in the desert. They don't know how to live on their own. They've been used to being fed. They don't know how to do anything. In a moment of change, what's the first thing a person needs to do? In that moment of joy, notice and make sure you notice the good things that are going on, the basic, simple good things that are going on around you. Oh, yes, we're leaving Egypt, but guess what's happening also? Not only are we leaving Egypt, it's in the spring. Oh, not only am I on this plane and we're traveling to... Yeah, it's true that the food was terrible, but look what a great seat we got. Right? If somebody is around their kids or around their family and they're constantly pointing out the good points of each day, because no one has a good day, right? Anyone here have a perfect day every day? Alex, maybe. Anyone else have a perfect day every day? It's picked on you 3 times, you got to do another one. It's not possible to have a perfect day every day, but guaranteed that there are moments of perfection in every day. There's always situations where, wherever you are, that you can say, I'm grateful. Yes, I'm going through an exciting moment. I'm moving country. I'm having a great change, but I'm also... Look at what's going on. We are in a perfect seat. Notice or force yourself to notice the positive things that are going on around you in moments of positivity. When someone trains themselves to do that, even when things go wrong, you'll find the good in that situation too. Okay, that's really what we need to do. We as Jews are called Jews, Yehudim, which means thank you. Literally means thank you. Our aim is to be grateful at all times. Okay, so that's a commandment from a Jewish perspective, that we have to have gratitude. We need to have appreciation. Appreciation makes you happier, more ambitious, and therefore less lazy. Okay, so the two things go together, education, and through education you get appreciation. Okay, question. Are younger people lazier than older people? And if you say yes or no, prove to me why. Who is lazier, older or younger people? Okay, the question number 4 is, what can we do today to increase appreciation? Let's just focus on question number 3. I'll give you a minute. Are younger people more lazy than older people? It's a thought for you. I'll give you a minute. Tell me what you think and give us an answer. How many people vote that young people are lazier than older people?
100%.
What? Like, what age?
Yeah, it's more specific.
You have to make assumptions.
Make assumptions, yeah. Just, it was more to bring out discussion, so it really is more specific, and it depends on each person, right? You can't really compare one person to the other. But let's just go through what you came up with and what you thought. Go for it.
So I said old people are less lazy because a lot of them have kind of found their calling and their purpose in life. They know what they want to do. They've tried a lot of things, and they're kind of more wise. Like, they understand their purpose for being here. They're more likely to, and because of that, when they're doing work, they're actually doing it to achieve a certain purpose. Like a certain role in the world that they think they need to fulfill. So they're not thinking about the pain in the moment, they're thinking about the end goal. Young people don't really know, a lot of times don't really know what they're doing. They haven't found what they're interested in yet. They haven't found what they think their purpose is. They don't have kids or any real responsibility. So whereas older people, if they have children, they know that they're working hard to put their kids through school or whatever. They're much more motivated, not by this circumstantial, hardships or whatever, but by the end goal.
Right. Anyone thoughts? By the way, Pamela, go for it.
You can push that and you can push that and be even older than what you're talking about, and then what happens there when someone is 80, 85 years old sitting at home, they're capable of doing more, but they don't have all the responsibilities that they once had. So then what's that relative to the young person that has all the goals?
Well, they don't need to work.
Yeah.
Is someone who's 85 expected to work?
No, but that's exactly.
They don't need to be working.
They don't have the same circumstance that they need in order to not be lazy.
So are you saying old people are lazier? Like really old people are lazier
No,
than?
I'm just arguing.
You're just asking?
Pushing it one thing.
She's playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate.
So then you disagree.
I don't think young people are lazy.
It's a great thing.
I
No,
don't think.
no one's necessarily lazy, right? But like, what is the tendency? Is
We
the
could say
question.
that young people have it easier, like we were talking about last time, so maybe they don't have to be as motivated or as pushed. They don't have.
It's all right.
So.
No worries. You forgot it. Yeah, so, obviously it's a case-by-case basis. Listen, if an older person who's like over 80, 85, 90, who is not able to function and is still, with all their personality, with all their age, they're still running around. Anyone know a grandma that runs around even in their old age? Anyone know those grandmas? Right? Who has more restrictions? You tell me, who has more restrictions, the older person or the younger person physically? Which one has more dust pulling them down? The older person, right? The older person has more dust. Even with all those restrictions, they're still able to find themselves and still run around. That's because there's an end goal, there's a greater goal, there's a greater picture, there's more understanding. Yes?
We were talking about how younger people have more ability than older people.
Right.
And we said that laziness is a choice, not an ability. So a young person who can do anything, they're able-bodied, they have energy, they have time, and they choose not to, that's lazier than an older person who lays in bed because they don't have the energy that a younger person does.
Yes, and a younger person who chooses with all their abilities, that means that in a way it's crazy. Why would they be lazy? And the answer only can be because they're lacking understanding, they're lacking a depth, they're lacking purpose, they're lacking a goal, right? And that's what we're told, that they have more abilities, they're much more fit, there's so much more going for them, right? And still, if they choose to be lazy, which has nothing to do with their abilities, but if they choose to be lazy in that situation, we now know that it's simply because of the lack of knowledge and understanding, and because of the lack of focus as well, like basically what we've spoken about till now. Make sense? Okay. I'm going to do the next few a bit quicker, and it's going to be more straight out discussion, okay? Number 3, if you want to be less lazy, if you want to be more active, get more active. What does that mean? I'll tell you. If you have a car, there's 2 ways of starting a car, right? One is you put the key in the ignition, and it goes on. What happens if, in the old days at least, the car is out of battery? What would you do? It's not working. It's not active. It's lazy. Well, you could jump it, or what else? You can ask someone else to come along and push it along, right? And then what? If it's going downhill, right, it will start, right? If it's going downhill, it will start. What does that teach me? What does that teach me?
You need movement.
Yeah, if you get active, you can light yourself up again. Is that interesting? You can either, even if you don't feel like it, you can either light yourself up with the keys the way you would normally, but what happens if you feel like you have no ambition? You have no feeling for action? According to Jewish teachings, put more action, just make it move, force it to move, and eventually it will feel better. it will start acting better. Make sense? Listen to the Mesilat Yesharim, what he says, the path of the just. Listen to what he says. If you think about it, just as hastiness, or being quick, is the outcome of internal enthusiasm, meaning if someone's quick, it shows that he's happy within, so too, hastiness can produce an internal enthusiasm. It goes both ways. If somebody's running in the streets for somebody, for their mom, for their dad, they're trying to help them out, at that moment that you're putting in more effort for that person, you will actually instill within your heart more love. Okay? It's not the other way around. It's not like you love someone because you love someone. It's actually, if you're more active for them, you will feel more love for them. Okay? If you do more for them, if you put more effort into them, then you will therefore feel more love, even if you didn't have the ambition in the first place. A very powerful insight. Okay? So get more active. Now this is a very good example that I wrote down here. What about going for a jog? Oh, starting to be healthy again. Okay? So I'm eating too much. I feel like I'm overweight. If you jog, first day that you jog, you feel a bit more guilty. Does this happen to anyone? You feel now more guilty to eat. Yes. Right? You feel, because of that one jog, you feel more ambitious to be in work. It can help you in many other areas, right? This is not a promotion to being on a jog right now. But I'm just saying that when you are active in one area, it can help you be more effective in many other areas as well. It's very strange. I'm lazy right now. I don't want to be active. It's true. But if you are active, I don't feel the love. Yeah, but if you do something if you do it more in action, if you go and buy those flowers, if you do an action, you will feel the love. The love is the outcome of the action, not the action is the outcome of love. It's a big mistake that we have, is that I'll act based on how I feel my love. It's not true. You feel the love based on how you act. Very important concept. Okay? So, okay, I'll ask the question, what actions can help improve a relationship? What action can help reduce anger? Okay? What do you think can help reduce a person from being angry? And what action do you think can help a relationship be better or work better? Any thoughts? Without waiting. Any thoughts? What can help a relationship work better? What action? Right away? Communication. Right? Not avoiding. Normally, when the relationship's not going well, what do? Oh, I'll be busy with something else. We run away and we go and spend more time in our job. We spend more time in the gym. So avoid is a big problem in relationships. Don't avoid. Be there, confront the situation. Obviously, if you feel like it's really not going well right now, then you come back to it later, okay? But that's a perfect example when action can actually help. Communicating, just forcing yourself to communicate can help the relationship. What about running and getting flowers even though you don't feel the love, right? That's just an example. Going and will you feel more love now that you're bringing those flowers home? In a relationship? Yes, that will help. Okay? What about anger? What can you do? What action can you do that can change the way you feel in anger? What can you do? Smile. Just smile. Breathe. Right? These are all basic actions that are actually nothing to do with the anger itself, but they affect my anger. Even if they're external and they're not real. I don't mean them. What about speaking in a lower tone?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? Or going out for a while. Just going out to a different location. Just walking out for a different location. Wouldn't that help? Get a different scene. Wouldn't that help make me calm and then come back after? Yeah. Right? So there's many ways that we can use to calm ourselves with anger that are nothing to do with the anger itself. You just do an action externally and it can change my internal feelings. Make sense? Okay, let's move to the next one. Observation. Okay? You can observe people in this world and even animals that have achieved a lot even with all their limitations. Like the Jewish mom that we just found out about, who's involved with our organization, Olami, And she won the marathon with 5 little kids. Did anyone hear about that? EP2.
Anyone heard of her?
Isn't that amazing? 5 kids and ran the marathon in Israel and became the fastest woman in Israel. She's a religious woman. 2 hours and 40. No, she did one of them pregnant. She actually did one of them pregnant.
Her first marathon was
Her first marathon was done pregnant.
2 months ago. She was pregnant.
And she just did one now at 2 hours and 45 minutes. She did the marathon.
2
hours and 45 minutes.
With the baby in her?
No, that was without the baby.
But recent.
That was recent. That was just now.
Yeah, it's only been
Okay?
2 years.
You tell me. This is not a call. This is not a call to. Wait, this is not a. She works too. This is not a call to being now in the marathon, but I'm just saying, if somebody with 5 kids can achieve that much, what does it make us feel? It should make us feel like, let's get on with it, right? Let's do more. We can do more than this, right? I can also do this. And it's true, we can. Okay? What does Shlomo, the wisest of all teachers, say? He says, lazy bones. Sounds like a British man. Lazy bones. Go to the ant. Look at an ant. Study its ways. And learn. Okay, if you want to learn about laziness or not being lazy, look at the ant. Anyone know anything about ants? Are they always moving? Always, right? The question is, why is Shlomo Melech using the ant as an example? There's many animals that are quick. What about the leopard? What about there's, I don't know, right, the elephant, no, he's slow. Right, what about some other animal that moves quick? Why only the ant? What do you think is the reason? What?
Because the ants are like the most productive.
It's always
And they lift like 16 times their own weight.
They're always going for something. They're actually doing something. They're not just running for no reason. What else did they work in groups? What are you doing here? Yo, come here now. Come here, Jonathan. Woo! Jerry.
Alright, I have a question.
Go for it.
But an ant doesn't have a brain.
Do you know that the ant has one of the most fascinating forms of communication?
Yeah, through
It leaves trails, and that's why, by the way, an ant is called nemala, which comes from the word milah. Lemalel. By the way, our name, Melul, has a similar name. Yes. Nemala means to, it has 2 meanings in that word. An ant in Hebrew has 2 meanings in that word. One of them is speech. Yeah, and the other one is to work, to toil. It's constantly working. That's the definition of what it is. Okay? It's true, by the way, it doesn't have a brain, but even without a brain, look what it does. Right?
Imagine someone with a brain.
Even without the brain, look what it does. Okay? Someone else said unity. What else? Do you want to know one of the explanations? You have to know a lot about ants to know this one. There's another explanation given by the Rishonim, one of the great writers of the Rishonim, of the Talmud, just after the Talmud. And he says like this. He says that the ant gathers way more than it needs every single year. It works way beyond its own necessity. It toils and builds and brings in food that is enough to last it way more than its year, in fact, more than its lifetime. It toils a lot. And why? Because a Jew always should know that we're not only working for this world, but we're working for something greater than this world. Okay? So that is the concept, that the Jew always needs to know that we are in this world working not just to be in this world. I'm working for the world to come too. Okay? Which means that I'm working on my greatness and becoming a better person. Okay. The last one, number 5. Should we go to the last one?
Sure.
There's a bit more information there, but we'll talk about it another time. Number 5 is awareness. Okay, what does awareness mean? Contemplating before, during, and after to see if I'm going in a way which is not lazy or not. Okay? have awareness. What does that mean? How can I have awareness? Well, always ask yourself, and we mentioned this last week, is the path that I'm going on a path which is just for the sakes of being lazy, or it's really the right thing for me to do? Okay, the example we gave last week was going to school. Should I go to this college, which is 2 hours flight from here, or should I go to the college which is right next to me? Okay, this is a basic example. The one that I choose most likely is going to be the one that's more convenient for me. That's okay. But always ask yourself, yes, I'm going for the more convenient one, but maybe it's also because of my laziness and not really the right thing for me to do. Okay? So whenever you go and you have two choices, make sure that the choice that you take, which is more lenient, isn't a lazy choice. Listen to the words of the path of the just. Know that this is a fundamental principle, well tested by experience in the art of separation. Every leniency, every time you do something easier, it must be carefully investigated. For even though it is possible that it's justified and correct, it could be true and the right thing to do, nevertheless, it's more likely to be the advice of the evil inclination and its deceit. Therefore, one must investigate with much analysis and examination. If after all this it still stands meritorious, which means good, then certainly it is the right thing to do. Okay, so if you have two types of mitzvot to do, and you're choosing between one over the other, I have a choice to visit somebody who's sick, far out, which is a mitzvah bikur cholim, or to go and help this poor person that's next door me and is waiting for my help, right? I have two choices to do. If I'm going to go for the easier one, I need to ask myself, why am I going for that choice? Maybe it's because of laziness, okay? Here's the discussion. See if you are aware in these situations, okay? I'll give you a second. What connection does laziness have to bullying and labeling? Okay? If somebody is bullying another person, why is that connected to laziness? If I label them, it's just because they are this and this type. It's just because, I'll say orthodox, because that's what people say. No, it's just because they are from, whatever I say, someone's going to get offended. Just because they're from France. It's because they're from France. How can you say that? Right? It's because they are from, or whatever it is. Okay? We use bullying and labeling. Labeling is to do with laziness. How? In fact, many of our bad things that we do is to do with our laziness. Tell me how. Who wants to go for it? You put your hand up first. Go for it.
Because then you have to work to get to know them, and it's uncomfortable and difficult to be open-minded and not just stick with what you know.
Exactly. It's called intellectual laziness. It's literally saying, wait, I don't need to figure out who this person is, where they're from, what their real story is. I'll just label them as a certain type, and therefore I don't need to figure out anymore. It helps me. I just put them in a box. And this happens a lot here. Both politically, religiously, in every area. When I first came here, first question everyone asked me, so you're a rabbi in Oregon, so what are you? Are you Reform? Are you, what are you? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I? I'm a Jew. I'm a person, No, but what are you? First question. Everyone was asking me, what are you? Are you Orthodox, right? Are you Reform? What are you? Everyone was asking me that what are you question. And it's really because if I give an answer, then it will be like, One time someone asked me, it was a class, I said, I'm actually very ultra-Orthodox. So she takes a pen out and she's writing. I'm like, what are you writing down? It's not complicated. She was like, okay, writing down. I'm like, what's going on? Like, it's so strange. People do things. I wasn't offended, don't worry. But it's definitely weird.
So can't you say it's also because that requires you to work on yourself instead of working on knowing the other person, just piggybacking off of what she said?
Yeah, I wanted to say that also.
Because you could
Explain.
You could to go off the example you gave, okay, we're short. The other, you can see someone that's tall and be like, oh, look at that giraffe over there. But, it's because you don't want to work on your own insecurity of being the short person.
Right, it's also your own insecurity.
Exactly.
I was saying it's more trying to interpret that person. You're saying it's also my own laziness of trying to understand myself. Very good. So true.
I think we said it last week. Like the faults that you find in other people is really something that you're lacking.
Right, we spoke about that.
Really,
That was 2 weeks ago about gossip.
So true. Well,
it's very true. Think about
Okay. Okay, what connection does a bad social life have to do with laziness? Bad people, not good social life, or weird, you're not working to get to know, right? Confrontation. What does it take to know someone really well? Takes an element of time, effort, confrontation, going out, answering the phone. Think about how much activity is required to make yourself a good friend. And how important is it to have a good friend according to Judaism?
very.
Do you know what it says? Uknei lecha chaver. Buy yourself a good friend. Buy yourself a good friend. Yeah, if you literally, not like, hey, I'll give you $200. Come be my friend.
I'll give you $2,000 a month.
But it's worth spending money. It's worth spending that much money to make the effort to get to know that person.
I want Sean to take it.
How much
You can give a gift.
Oh, you want? I want you to take it.
Giving
I want it for you.
something.
It's important. It's that important to have a friend, right? Not a Facebook link, like Jonathan would say. Right. Next.
Let's do it. Try to do more.
Should I go through each one?
Yeah.
Challenge relationship. What is laziness to do with a challenge relationship? A relationship is not going well with your children, with your spouse, with your parents. Why is it not going well? Something to do with laziness. All of it stems from this earthly. You don't want to do the work. What other work? Let me give you another example. With a child, right? Instead of spending time with a child, what do?
Get a babysitter.
You get a babysitter. What else do? iPad, TV, screen time, right? It's all so to speak, a baby. Do you know what the TV is showing the child? What are they watching?
Fake news.
You don't even know.
You don't know. What kind of education is that? Right? Isn't that crazy? So that's all stemming. Bad education or bad connection to a child is all to do with time and effort. A good education is to do with effort. What about a teacher? It says, "Ena kaptan melamed," a teacher that's strict, that doesn't let the student speak, and is constantly strict with the student, cannot teach. Why would a teacher be strict?
Why?
Because they don't want to be questioned.
They don't want to be questioned. What else? Right? It's laziness. What's that to do with laziness? A strict teacher. They don't want to learn. They don't like to learn?
They're not willing to.
They're not willing to learn if they make mistakes. They're not willing to make the effort to really listen to the student and understand what they want. And that takes much more work than just speaking. Right? Okay. What about arguing and complaining? Arguing. Right? Some people are arguing, having a big fight going on, like happened opposite our house for some reason yesterday. So what about the arguing? It was students. What about arguing?
I was thinking to go with kids.
You don't want to understand the other person.
Yes, you don't want to understand the person. You don't want to listen to them. You don't want to. Sometimes avoiding confrontation is also laziness. Sometimes you need to have a confrontation, and it's time to actually speak up and say, "Hey, you are really not speaking nicely to me." Or, "I don't think this is the right way to speak." Right? That's a good thing to be able to stand up and say, "Hey, listen, I personally do not feel comfortable with what you're saying to me." That's okay. It's a good thing to tell someone that. Okay? If it's not necessary. Okay. Complaining. Why do we complain? Also to do with laziness. Yes, it's true. It's to do with effort, but give me more. Why do I complain?
You're not willing to fix it.
I'm not willing to fix it.
Instead of finding my mistake, you're trying to find other people.
Blaming, responsibility. It's not taking responsibility. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say not taking responsibility.
Not taking responsibility. Why else would I complain?
Things are too hard.
Things are too hard. Maybe I complain because I'm not doing what I need to. Maybe I'm complaining because I'm lazy.
Or the outcome's not the way you want.
Right? The outcome wasn't what I wanted, but it's also the outcome is not coming what I wanted because I didn't do what I needed to do. My laziness caused me to complain. That can happen. If you spent your day productively, you won't feel the need to complain as much. Isn't that interesting? What about unhappiness? Why would laziness affect my happiness?
Well, I think sometimes you don't put in the effort and investment into something, and then you expect so much in return.
Expectations.
Right. Yeah.
Expectations. That's what makes you very unhappy. A happy person is a not expecting, is a grateful person. I don't expect anyone to give me anything. I can do this on my own. Right? That is someone who's responsible. What?
Laziness can feed that.
Like how?
Because if you don't have that ultimate goal,
If I don't have a goal, so right, because I'm not making the effort to have the goal, so therefore what? So therefore I'm unhappy. You're saying that the other way around, that it won't work?
I think it's private discussion, because the example that I can think of, I don't want to.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, thank you. Do you guys enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for listening.
Marathon.
Yeah.
To a very productive week for all of you.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you like what you hear and are between the ages of 21 and 30, you are a beginner to Judaism living in Los Angeles, then this group discussion is for you. Come and join us at Aishlit every week on Taco Tequila Torah Tuesdays or Wednesday night for Wednesday Wine and Wisdom once a month. This is besides for our exciting social events and Shabbats. Stay tuned for more upcoming podcasts. Check us out on Facebook, Aishlit Los Angeles, or go to our website at aishlit.com.